What's going on, guys? Diablo 4 character customization can be a wild ride, there's no doubt about it, but it's got to start somewhere, right? And in this video, I'm going to show you the attributes and how they affect every character in Diablo 4. So without further ado, let's hop right in and see what's up. Kicking things off with the Barbarian, the main stat is Strength. So putting points in Strength will increase your skill, damage, and armor. Intelligence will give you increased resistances to all elements. Willpower gives you increased resource generation, healing received, and overpower damage. And finally, Dexterity. Points in this will give you increased critical strike chance and increased chance to dodge. So again, the main stat for the Barbarian is going to be Strength because it increases your overall damage, and the secondary is either Willpower or Dexterity depending on how you want to build your character. If you go with Willpower, you're going to generate more Fury faster. You're also going to do more overpower damage, which is good for like a tank build. A lot of HP pools and maybe some fortify. As long as you have that going on, overpower is going to do pretty significant damage. Dexterity, on the other hand, will just be the typical melee build where you're going to do increased critical strike chance for each point of dex that you put into it. So again, main stat Strength, Willpower or Dexterity as your secondary, and then finally Intelligence as a defensive layer for all resistance. For the Necromancer, putting points into Strength gives you increased armor. Intelligence will give you skill damage and all resistance. Willpower gives you resource generation, healing received, and overpower damage, while Dexterity gives you increased critical strike chance and increased dodge chance. So the primary stat for the Necromancer looks to be Intelligence. It increases your damage while also giving you defense. I think that's fantastic. Arguably, the secondary could be Willpower or Dex. So Willpower gives you resource generation and overpower is another sort of damage that you can do, like critical strike chance, but overpower is dictated by your total health and fortify amount, where Dexterity gives you increased critical strike chance and dodge. So that kind of depends on how you want to make your Necromancer. Either one seems pretty good. I do think Willpower would be a better secondary personally. So for the Necromancer, I'd say Intelligence is your main, Willpower is your secondary, then you have Dex and Strength to fall back on. Checking out the Sorceress class, Strength gives you increased armor, Intelligence gives you increased skill damage and resistance to all elements, Willpower gives you increased resource generation, healing received, and overpower damage, and Dexterity will finally give you increased critical strike chance and increased chance to dodge. So the main stat for Sorceress is Intelligence, and the secondary can go either way, Willpower or Dex. I think Willpower looks pretty good. Resource generation and the ability to do overpower damage. Remember that overpower is again based off of your HP and fortify, and Dexterity giving you a chance to crit or dodge. If you want to check out the Rogue in Diablo 4, points in Strength will give you increased resource generation and increased armor, while points in Intelligence give you increased critical strike chance and increased all resistance to elemental damage, while Willpower will give you increased healing received and increased overpower damage, and finally your main stat as a Rogue, Dexterity, increasing your skill damage and chance to dodge. I think Dexterity is obviously the main stat. I'd probably go with Intelligence as my backup. With these two skills, I get Intelligence, I should say skill point attributes. I should get all resistance, chance to crit, as well as main damage and dodge chance. So if I don't just outright dodge everything, I'm going to go ahead and reduce the amount of damage I take if it's elemental. And making your way around the campfire, we finally arrive at the Druid. Points in Strength for the Druid give you increased armor. Points in Intelligence give you increased resource generation and resistance to all elements, while your main stat will be Willpower. Points in here give you increased skill damage, healing received, and increased overpower damage. And finally Dexterity, which will give you increased critical strike chance and increased chance to dodge. So if you're pumping a bunch of points into Willpower as your primary stat, I think it kind of makes sense to go points into Intelligence as your secondary. Simply giving you resource generation and additional layer of defense in all res just makes sense. And the other secondaries could be more armor, so you're more tanky as well, or Dex if you totally want to maybe get some crit in there, or just dodge direct attacks entirely. But again, for me, I think for the Druid, Willpower main, Intelligence secondary. And there you go, there's the attributes for every character in Diablo 4. Now you have an idea what the main stat is and what possible secondaries could be for your class. Hope you get a chance to design it and enjoy it the way that you want to play it, because that's the benefit of Diablo 4. You can make a character and play your way within a certain degree. Everybody's got a main attribute, right? And so hopefully this gives you a little bit more guidance and gives you some confidence when finding gear in the game as to how to apply it and get the most bang for your buck for the character in the world of Sanctuary and beyond. I want to thank you guys for checking out the video. Always appreciate it. And hopefully you learned something in this one. And take it easy. Much love. Catch you on the next one.